Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. A lot of movement across the college football landscape over the last couple of days. I figured kind of a midway checkpoint. Who are the best players still currently available in the spring transfer portal window? We're going to go position by position, talk about the best players available at each position. And look, this is subject to change. There's a name that we're going to talk about in the next 10 minutes that entered the transfer portal this morning. Like, you're still seeing some difference makers trickle into the transfer portal later on in the process, and you still have a lot of really good football players that are still trying to find their next program going into 2025. Fired up to get into it. Before we do, and as always, just want to say thank you to you guys. We've had a lot of conversations regarding the transfer portal over the last couple of days, and a lot of them have been more team specific than kind of general national conversation. Wanted to do one where, everybody got the chance to kind of throw it in the comment section, the players that they think are some of the best available in the portal. Let it fly in the comment section. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If you all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into it. Let's start at the quarterback spot. Really one more Power 4 starting caliber quarterback, that's Steve Angeli. Obviously, you had Nico early on in the process. Joey Aguilar goes to Tennessee. Yeah, Steve Angeli's the last one where I look at in terms of quarterback portal options, say that's a guy that I'd be comfortable starting in 2025. Now, Steve Angeli is not a marquee difference maker at the quarterback position, but I think he gives a lot of teams a higher floor than they would have going into 2025. Like, I'm a Michigan fan. We would take Steve Angeli any day of the week last year in 2024. If there is a program that really still has question marks about the quarterback position, Steve Angeli would come in and make your offense better. He ain't going to win a Heisman, not going to be a first-team all-conference guy, but everything we hear out of that Notre Dame program is that he's steady Eddie. And look, in the landscape of college football, sometimes having a steady quarterback can win you a lot of football games. Next position I want to talk about, the wide receiver position. I don't think this one's particularly close. Trebor Pena. This is, and look, there's a lot of teams that are looking for wide receiver help in the spring portal window. And we kind of thought the market would be a little bit more saturated, but it's really not. Like, there's not a ton of wide receivers that I look at in the portal and say difference maker immediately in 2025. Trebor Payne is one of those guys. Now, for some reason, it kind of gets a little bit overlooked because he ain't the biggest, he ain't the fastest, he's not going to make the super flashy plays. Go ask Oregon fans what Tez Johnson meant to that offense. Go ask the Miami Hurricane fans what Xavier Restrepo meant to their offense in 2024. That's the kind of pass catcher that Trebor Payne is. He knows how to separate. He's going to catch in traffic. He's going to be a chain mover on third downs. These guys get overlooked because they don't look like Jeremiah Smith, but they provide massive value for whatever offense they're going to go to. And Trebor Payne is really that guy going into his 6th year of college football that's coming off a 900-plus receiving yard season in 2024. Whatever team he ends up at, starting caliber wide receiver that helps you in a big-time way going into the 2025 year. I would think that fit between the Miami Hurricanes and Trebor Pena would make a lot of sense. Offensive line. This is the position where y'all wonder why I get so fired up when programs land blue chip offensive linemen at the high school ranks. This is why. Because if you don't land those blue chippers out of the high school ranks, it is going to be tough sledding to find starting caliber players on the offensive line, whether we're in the spring or winter portal window. There's just not that many available. Blake Steen is, probably the most experienced Power 4 offensive lineman that's currently available. Started the last year and a half at right tackle for Virginia. I don't think he's going to be a first-team all-conference guy. I think he's a very good run blocker, though. Pass protection struggles a little bit. Look, there's not that many options. If you're a team that is leaving spring practice with concerns at the tackle spot, I'm not going to say you're out of luck, but there's not a ton of guys that you look at in the portal and say, proven difference maker, proven reliable tackle at the Power 4 level. And I'm not even sure if Blake Steen's that kind of guy, but I think he's probably the best option available for teams that are looking for a Power 4 starter at the offensive tackle position. Jamar Brown at running back, North Dakota State. In my opinion, my favorite running back that's currently available. A couple of things you like with Jamar Brown. One, 3 years of eligibility remaining. I think there are a lot of teams that are looking for depth at the running back position. That's often hard to do in the spring portal window because a lot of running backs are looking for a starting opportunity going into 2025. Like Tremar Brown can give you depth immediately in 2025, but also has 3 more years of eligibility to kind of work his way up into a proven guy at the Power 4 level. You go back to the film at North Dakota State, over 200 carries, over 1,000 yards rushing at the FCS ranks, runs behind his pads, physical ball carrier, attacks the line of scrimmage, has a decent amount of shake when he gets to the second level. Like I think this kid can play. And again, I think a lot of teams are looking at him as, hey, let's get some more depth in the running back room. Yeah, he'd be a great depth piece that has over 200 career carries, 3 years of eligibility left, but a guy that really could blossom into a very solid power four running back somewhere down the line. Going to the defensive side of the football, let's start in the middle of that defensive line. Now, Murad Watson from Syracuse is the name generating the most amount of buzz. And to me, like I kind of thought he was the best one on the inside of that defensive line until yesterday afternoon when Bernard Gooden hits the transfer portal from USF. Look, 6'1", 280. The biggest question mark I think a lot of fans are going to ask is, can he come from the G5 level at 6'1", 280 and be a contributor difference maker at the Power 4 level? You turn on that Alabama film from that 2024 year, you kind of put those questions to rest. Now, he's not the biggest offensive lineman, but he plays with an extremely hot motor. He does play with good leverage. So although he's not the biggest and a little bit short, low pad level, doesn't get moved off the line of scrimmage that much, but an elite pass rusher. And look, it's really hard to find interior defensive linemen in the transfer portal that give you legitimate pass rush upside. Bernard Gooden's one of them. 27 quarterback hurries at USF last year, 80-inch wingspan. So although he is not the tallest, there is some length to a guy like Bernard Gooden's been around the college football game for a little bit as well. Started his career at my Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Figures that he leaves and becomes one of the better interior defensive linemen available in the portal. There are a lot of programs that need this position, and I would guess that he's going to have a very strong market over the next couple of weeks. Linebacker, this is a name that just hit today, Amari Campbell from UNC. The thing that stands out to me about Amari Campbell, 758 total snaps in the 2024 year. That's always something I look for when I'm evaluating transfer portal guys. Are you playing a lot of football? Because what does that tell me? When Amari Campbell plays 758 snaps, tells me he didn't come off the field. It tells me that UNC coaching staff last year said, we can't afford to have this guy come off the field. Only missed 9% of his tackles, over 20 run stops in the 2024 year. This is a linebacker that has range, that has instincts. When he has the chance to bring ball carriers to the ground, he's not missing tackles. I don't know if he has the upside athletic profile to be a first team all conference guy, but he's a very reliable linebacker in which a lot of teams are looking for some reliable linebackers to play in 2025. It's hard to find guys that have the amount of experience in the amount of ball production that Amari Campbell has. Going back to the back end, we got two Houston Cougars to talk about. AJ Halsey at safety, 6', 215. He is a big dude that can do a lot of different things in the back end. There are a couple of teams, the Miami Hurricanes most notably, that are looking for a starting caliber safety. AJ Halsey would be that guy. Gets his hands on a lot of footballs, a lot of turnovers over the last couple of years, can operate in man coverage, can play the center field safety role, can come up into the box and be a very adequate safety and run support. He can do it all. And look, these type of players are kind of becoming harder to find. The safeties that can do everything you have to do in the modern era of college football, whether that's going to the box and support the run, whether that's play man coverage on a tight end or slot wide receiver, whether that's play center field, cover one safety and have the range and ball skills to go make plays. AJ Halsey can do all of that. There's a reason why he's one of the best safeties available. Cornerback Jeremiah Wilson from Florida, from Houston, originally from Florida, committed to Syracuse out of high school, goes down to Houston, 38 targets, only 17 receptions given up. That is a 44% completion percentage, 4 interceptions in 2024, 7% missed tackle rate. I mean, it's hard to find cornerbacks that one can make it happen out there on the boundary and coverage. He certainly can. It's hard to find cornerbacks that can tackle in space. Jeremiah Wilson can. Now, he also could probably play nickel because he's a good tackler and a little bit on the shorter side, but he's a this is what matters for Jeremiah Wilson. You bring him in, he could be a boundary cornerback starter, but he also could play nickel and play nickel at a dang high level. And this is a guy that's proven and a guy that you kind of trust to bring in and be a day one starter. And like we say, it's hard. It's really hard to find day one starters in the spring transfer portal window. Jeremiah Wilson, to me, is one of those names. Now, again, we'll see what names enter into the portal over the next couple of days before it closes. Continue to update the conversation as it sits right now at every position. Those are my favorite names currently available. Y'all let it fly in the comment section. I'm sure many of y'all are looking at me and saying you're sleeping on some guys. Yeah, let it fly in the comment section. That's the beauty of doing it. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll talk to y'all later.